On the line with us, our old friend Greg Palast, friend of the program, investigative journalist, author, filmmaker. His latest, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, that you can find over on Amazon. Greg Palast, or you can watch, actually, live and stream it live. GregPalast.com is the website. You can tweet him at Greg Palast, P-A-L-A-S-T, excuse me, Greg_Palast. And Greg, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be with you, Tom.
It's always great having you on. So, Chris Kobach is up to some new tricks, this time with crazed gun nut Ted Nugent. Tell me about it.
Well, you don't often have a lot of humor these days about assault rifles, except that Chris Kobach, who is running for governor of Kansas and was considered a lock, but now he's in a race for his life with the temporary governor he was appointed, just recently appointed to fill the ex-governor's spot, Brownback. He's in a neck-and-neck race with a guy named Jeff Collier, who is not as well known. And so now Kobach decided to weaponize the election. He showed up at a parade in Shawnee, Kansas over the weekend in a military Jeep with American flag designs and a .50 caliber machine gun on top. And he said, "Look at my gun." And as so many things with Chris Kobach, it was a fake. The gun was a toy. It was a fake .50 caliber weapon, but still caused the mayor of the town to apologize to the children of the town for someone bringing an automatic weapon into the parade. And so Kobach is now in a desperate move, is bringing in the real heavy guns. He's bringing in Ted Nugent for a rally to save his campaign. Remember, Chris Kobach, we know him as the Wizard of Crosscheck, Trump's vote thief in chief, looking for the fraudulent voters, which are, of course, that's a story as fake as his gun. And so he's in trouble, despite being Trump's man in a state that where Trump blew out the doors in 16. Mm. And so that's one of the latest from Kobach. The interesting thing, by the way, about Kobach, Trump likes to stop and have pictures taken in front of his Trump hotel and Trump casino signs and his Trump golf course. Kobach, you should understand, actually has an assault weapons company called the Minuteman Defense. So is this an advertisement for either what may be his next job if he doesn't, now he's Secretary of State, but if he doesn't win the governorship?
Wait a minute. He owns a company that manufactures guns or sells guns?
Dig this. Yes, dig this. Okay, and I spoke to Kobach about this, by the way. Kobach has taken the position, he's attorney and he's Secretary of State, that in his state, if someone has an assault rifle weapons company and makes the weapon in Kansas and sells it to Kansans, sells it in the state, you don't have to register your gun under federal law. You don't have to follow the federal automatic gun rules. You can't have a fully automatic
because you're not subject to interstate commerce and therefore not to federal control.
He can't put one past you, can you? And indeed, that's his claim. But that means that he's the only gun manufacturer, assault weapons maker, or planned weapons maker in Kansas. If he does make those guns and sells them in Kansas, any fruitcake, any nutcase can now go to Kansas, buy an assault weapon from Chris Kobach.
Well, he'd also
have
to make his steel in Kansas. He'd have to make the screws and bolts in Kansas. I mean, he'd have to literally make everything. I mean, Bobby Kennedy shut down the lunch counters in Birmingham, Alabama, because they were serving Heinz ketchup manufactured in Pennsylvania. It's any little.
Yeah, but excuse me, that was Robert F. Kennedy, who was Attorney General at the time. Jeff Sessions, I hate to tell you, is the current Attorney General.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Enforce that law. And by the way, just my condolences again to the Kennedy family. This is the 50th anniversary of the assassination.
Tomorrow we're gonna do a big special on that. Greg, in the first hour of my program, I was asking the question: if Robert Mueller can demonstrate beyond anybody's shadow of a doubt that the election was influenced by foreign powers, or if, and unfortunately I don't think Mueller's looking into this, but I'd love to know if you know something about it, or if we can find that, for example, the 75,000 African Americans in Detroit who stood in line for hours and hours and voted, and the voting machines did not record their vote for president, and therefore Trump won Michigan with 10,400 votes, or the hundreds of thousands of people who were thrown off the voting rolls in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, that those people actually were legal voters. If it can be demonstrated that he is a genuinely illegitimate president, is there any possibility that we could say bring back Obama and Bush and let the two of them be co-presidents for 5 months until November, have the two political parties do what they did in the early years of your lifetime and mine, sit in the smoke-filled rooms and come up with their best candidates for president and vice president from the two parties and throw them on the ballot in July or August and have a new election for president in November? A, what are your thoughts on that? B, to what extent, how goes your research on proving that actually Kobach did rig the election?
Well, two things. First, as to your idea of what might happen, I want to smoke what you're smoking because it's a wonderful fantasy, but I don't think the Republicans are going to give up power. And remember that Trump is only the hand puppet. There are billionaires who have their fingers in that glove, and they're not going to give up their control of the Oval Office.
Well, there you go, being the damn realist.
I'm sorry about that. And as to our investigations into whether the election was stolen, actually, zero question about that based on, the investigations you've seen in my film, run by Chris Kobach, not only the cross-check program, the alien, so-called alien voter purges, the uncounted ballots, as you mentioned, in Michigan, 75,355 ballots. We have that, but we also need, a second party, the Democratic Party, which is in hiding at the moment, I think, in the Witness Protection Program, to discuss make vote theft a major issue. I just came back from Mexico. That's where that's the number one issue, is vote theft and keeping elections clean.
Greg, we're going to have to get you back on next week to talk about what's going on in Mexico. I'm sorry we're out of time, but I really want to know about that too. Greg Palast, gregpalast.com. Thanks, Greg.